Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video updated on Friday the 22nd of December. In the short term it's mild, but colder air is set to return as you go through Christmas Day into Boxing Day, which will allow some snowfalls to accumulate on the mountains once again. Before that though, there's some heavy rainfall across western mountains focused on Scotland through this weekend, and some stormy winds too. There may be a brief lull in winds at times in the middle part of the week, but I think as we head towards New Year, indications are looking pretty stormy at times again. Now this chart shows you total rainfall, and this is just through into the end of Sunday first of all, so Christmas Eve. Don't worry about trying to see any numbers on the map, they are very small, but take a look at the scale at the bottom and you can see where we're going in terms of totals. Western Scottish mountains then, from about Skye and Torridon southwards as far as about Loch Lomond National Park, that's where the heaviest falls are likely to be, and widespread 50 to 100 millimetres of rain over a good 24 to 48 hours in that part of the world. Some of the western slopes may well get higher totals than that. So here's the chart for Saturday. We've got high pressure focused towards the south of the country. We've got that strong west-southwesterly wind, and a marked increase of wind speeds with height will give very difficult conditions across the Scottish Highlands in particular, with wind speeds 70-80 miles per hour or more on the higher tops. Some heavy rain coming into the western mountains, focused more towards the northwest Highland as that front just edges its way in, and that front will be around then for a few days. The chart for Sunday sees that front having edged a little bit further southwards, but it's a slow-moving conveyor belt of moisture that's just coming in off the Atlantic, so constant heavy falls of rain into the West Highlands, easing back a little bit from more northern areas, but the freezing level starting to drop there behind that cold front, so finishing off as snow, and even coming down to around 600-700 metres across the far northwest Highlands, maybe getting into the northern Cairngorms on the back edge of that front later. Across England and Wales, there's the strongest of the winds to the south of that front, widespread gales across the hills and the mountains. The winds just tending to ease somewhat across Scotland. Let's now just have a run through temperatures, and this starting off with Sunday, and we've got the relatively mild conditions still in across many areas. This chart is at around 4,500 feet on the mountains at this stage. And we're seeing that freezing level dropping from the northwest, as we mentioned, and as we go through into Christmas Day, that freezing level will drop quite abruptly as the day goes on. Around 650 to 800 metres across much of northern and western Scotland, but that drop will come in elsewhere later on as a cold front sweeps through, so temperatures falling rapidly as we head towards the end of Christmas Day. And across the higher mountains of Scotland, your temperatures at around -3, thereabouts at 4,000 feet. So going through into Boxing Day, we've got that colder air having arrived across most areas. Freezing levels around 500-600 metres or so in many parts of the country, and we've got values at 4,000 feet at around -5. Tricky with the absolute details, but a generally cold picture, certainly colder than what we've been over these past few days at least. The middle part of the week sees the wind flow just turn around more towards the north, so we drag in colder air even further into Scotland, so the terrain looking widely frozen. Any snow that's fallen will very much lie across the mountains. A bit of a transient mix of rain, sleet and snow I think at times across England and Wales, but still a cold feel with the higher tops likely below freezing over a day or so. And across the higher Scottish mountains you're looking at around -5, -6 at 4,000 feet. So I'm just going to run through these charts in 6-hour steps. I've taken the fronts off them at this stage. The confidence of absolute detail is quite low for Christmas Day onwards, but we can try and get the overall message. So as we go through into Christmas morning, that waving, slow-moving front is still very much across northern and western parts of Britain, and that giving some heavy falls of rain across what looks like Dumfries and Galloway, maybe the southern Scottish Highlands, maybe coming more into the Lake District with time. On its northern edge, some snowfalls across the Scottish Highlands, but its northern extent remains to be seen at this stage. Keep an eye on your local details. Either way, a front looks like sweeping eastwards into Christmas night, so as it's going dark, some more prolonged heavy bursts coming through, some squally winds on quite an active cold front as those temperatures drop quickly through into the early hours of Boxing Day. Heavy showers that follow may be locally frequent, with some snow and hail coming in overnight. The next system coming in from the Atlantic tries to drive in through Boxing Day daytime. There may be a brief window where winds are fairly light, and across Scotland that might be most of the day, but I'd keep an eye on the details at this stage, because that low coming in to England and Wales may be a bit further north, but we need just to see how that one behaves. It looks as though it deteriorates either way, as rain and some snow above 400 or 500 metres sweeps in to parts of Snowdonia, and the Pennines may just escape across most of Scotland with not a great deal from that system through Boxing Day itself. That's where we then turn the winds more towards the north into Wednesday. Could be some strong winds on the back edge of that system as it clears eastwards in the early part of the day. Strongest winds focused a bit more on England and Wales at this stage. The northerly winds bringing belts of showers into the northern Scottish Highlands and areas around the Irish Sea, but you might find across central southern Scotland and eventually down the spine of the country, much of the day Wednesday is a fairly bright picture with sunshine and some excellent visibility coming through. Moving through towards Thursday, this is where we've got a bit of a lull briefly as the system from Boxing Day and early part of Wednesday clears. Pressure is fairly slack before the next incoming fronts try and move in, so a window may be focused on Wednesday, Thursday, where conditions are not too bad, just a few areas of snow showers moving around. Winds, though, I think will strengthen again by the later part of the week as incoming depressions off the Atlantic swing in once again. Treat that absolute day-by-day detail with some caution at this stage. There's still quite a bit to play for with these complex lows coming in. The general message then through the New Year period is something like this. This is the pressure anomalies. It's in the middle part of the atmosphere, but it gives us a good steer for our sea level pressure patterns as well. And it tells us that low pressure is very much on the scene, focused around and to the north of the British Isles. So some unsettled conditions, possibly stormy at times, quite an active jet stream that's moving in. That's being driven by the temperature contrasts over the eastern side of North America. Some very cold air coming out of Canada into the eastern part of the USA. That fires up the jet stream as it meets with some warmer tropical air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, and it just drives weather systems then across the Atlantic in our direction. And we were saying in recent videos, in recent weeks, how incoming lows could drive their way across the British Isles. The northern side of those lows could still engage with cold air and produce some snowfalls, particularly in Scotland. And some of the stormy winds may well affect Britain, may well affect Northern Europe as we go through this period. So one to watch for quite an active weather pattern getting going. So plenty to keep an eye on over the days ahead. We'll update the short range videos as well through the Christmas weekend, and the full planning video will be online again on Tuesday. All that remains for us to say, from all of us here at the Mountain Weather Information Service, a very Merry Christmas to you all. Enjoy the mountains if you're heading out throughout the festive period. Looks like the wintry conditions are back with us, so enjoy that if you are heading out. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.